A very good evening and welcome to Weekend Dialogue on BizRoundUp. Tonight on our program we have with us the Chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Nalaka Godahewa, joining us. A very good evening to you, sir.
Very good evening.
Well, Dr. Godahewa, let's start off talking about the entire capital market performance. Let me ask you if you're happy with and satisfied with the performance so far.
If you look at 2013, I would say I'm happy because what you have to first look at is what is the expectation of a capital market. The expectation of the capital market is to help companies to raise capital. In that sense, market has done 158% better than last year. But in that, there are two components. One is the equity side, the other one is the corporate debt market. The corporate debt market has grown by almost 300%. So that has been the main contributor to the growth of the capital raising, whereas the equity market has grown by about 8%. So if you look at equity in isolation, that I would say a reasonable growth. But if you look at both together in terms of capital market performance, it has been a very good year.
Right, and there is common accusation that overall the CSE has failed to raise public confidence on it. How do you agree with this?
I think it depends on what you mean by public confidence. If you go back 2 years, let's say 2011 and particularly 2012 period, there were a lot of media discussion about public confidence. At that time, there had been a lot of issues in the market. The market was fluctuating very heavily. People were losing money, and people were worried that there were manipulations and so many other problems. And if you look at that as a confidence issue, I can say that no longer is there in the market. Market is very stable. We don't find that fear anymore, because people know that it's a stable market and there are no major fluctuations. There are no market abuse and manipulation that has been taking place at the moment. However, if you look at the growth, as I mentioned earlier, particularly in the equity area, the growth had been about 8%, which is a reasonable growth. In that sense, you can say yes, you need more confidence in the retail market, and we would have expected more participation. So there, I think we have still more work to be done.
As the regulator, what measures would you all take to address this situation and of course create that confidence that you see lacking in this particular area?
See, as a regulator, our primary objectives are twofold. One is developing the market. When you say developing the market, that's a long-term view. How you can help companies to raise funds, how can you bring in more products, how can you make it more dynamic. The other one is investor protection, because these companies raise money from the public. It is the duty of the regulator to make sure that the public interest is protected. So in both, I think we have done a lot of work during 2013. We have brought in a lot of new regulations. We have been able to address some of the loopholes that we saw in whatever the existing system, and also we have been able to put in place a long-term plan. We introduced a 10-point action plan for 3 years in 2012, and we have been quite successful in its implementation. Out of the 10 projects, 1 is already completed, about 3 are almost at the last stages, so others are progressing. So overall, I think we have done a lot to bring stability to the market, and we need to be patient to see the full realization of that work.
Right, and also if you touch on market liquidity as you spoke, how do you think you tend to increase market liquidity in time to come?
Market liquidity has been one of the biggest problems in the Sri Lankan equity market, particularly, because if you look at the public float of our listed companies, on average, it is around 24%. And about out of the 288 companies in the market, almost 100 companies, just over 100 companies have less than 20% public float. 70 of them are on the main board. So that's a serious problem. In fact, that is one problem that most of the foreign fund managers raise when we go and invite them to come and invest in the country. So one of the things that we have done in the recent past to rectify this situation, in December, we introduced what you call the minimum public float ruling that had been in discussion probably for about last 3 years. There had been a number of public consultations as to how we should bring in, and finally we have made a call and that is now in place. And with that, every listed company on the main board is expected to have minimum 20% free public float, and the Dirisavi board expected to have at least 10%. So, and that has to be implemented over a 3-year period. That will make a difference in the market, and also by bringing more companies into the market, gradually we can increase the liquidity.
So you're confident that this issue will be gradually addressed?
Definitely, because we have a very clear plan as to how we want to achieve that, and we are successfully implementing that.
Okay. There were also plans of listing of public enterprises.
Bringing public enterprises to the market has always been in the plan, and it is still the same. As far as SEC is concerned, we keep promoting that, but SEC is not the decision maker. We are just a regulator. We regulate the market, we bring the policy, we bring in the vision. Like a private company, public company also has a ownership. That's the government. So government has to make a decision at which point which company to be listed. So all we can do is to highlight the importance of doing that and keep requesting that the government consider listing some of the public companies. And as I can see from policy point of view, there seems to be support. Implementation, there's in a way a little bit of a delay. So we are just hopeful that it will happen.
So any indications have been made yet about any considerations being taken?
No, at least I know there are at least 3 companies, government entities currently considering listing next year. But we have to wait and see how fast that will happen.
Any challenges you think as a regulator that the capital market faces presently? I
think we have to go back to your original question. We have now brought the stability to the market. We have put in a long-term plan which has been very successfully been implemented. The challenge is now to bring retailers back to the market, and for that, before retailers, I believe Sri Lanka's largest local funds have to get more activated. When we look back at 2013, in a way, I think local funds have missed the opportunity, because the foreign funds have come and grabbed the opportunity when the prices were good. They came and contributed almost 47% of market activities last year. Local funds were a little bit slow. They were more cautious because of probably the problems they had in 2011. I expect them to come back fast, and if they do, that will make a significant difference in 2014. So challenge, I would say, to bring them back sooner than later.
So this challenge, how would the regulator also intend to address this challenge now, as you mentioned, in 2015, to bring them back? What measures would be taken?
What we have done, we have started a dialogue with Colombo Stock Exchange. Together, we have been talking to all the large local funds during the last 2 months. We went and made presentations to them, showed them the opportunities that they missed, and discussed the issues they have, what were the concerns. And I think we have now come to some kind of a in principle agreement that they all will come back, and I don't see any hesitation on their part. It's an issue of timing.
Right. Finally, if you also talk about the new SEC Act that has been spoken of, what is the development in this regard?
SEC Act, as far as the SEC is concerned, Security Exchange Commission is concerned, we have gone through the entire process of drafting the new act, and it was completed in July this year, and that was sent to the Finance Ministry to be presented to the Cabinet for the final approval before it goes to the Parliament. However, Finance Ministry has taken a decision to appoint an independent committee once again to review the recommendation of the Commission, which is a good thing, because then you have a different opinion also coming. And they have been meeting regularly for the last 6 months, going through chapter by chapter, and hopefully within the next 2-3 months time, I hope they will finish that matter. And my feedback is from their discussions, no major changes have been made. That means we have done the right thing. So let them complete that, and then it will go to Cabinet and then to Parliament.
Okay, and then to the media.
Then to the media.
Right. So thank you very much, Dr. Godahewa, for joining us on Weekend Dialogue.
Thank you very much. Yes.
We had with us Dr. Nalaka Godahewa, the Chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, joining us on Weekend Dialogue on BizRoundUp. After this break, I'll be back with more on BizRoundUp. Do stay with us.